Hi, I'm Nicole, and I'm a fake fan.
Hi, Nicole. Hi, I'm Calvin. I'm a fake fan. I've watched some movies, but I have often had to fake that I've watched a movie.
Hi,
Hi,
Calvin.
Calvin. Hi, my name's Triston. I'm a fake fan. I've only watched the Star Wars movies and nothing else my entire life.
Hi,
Hi,
Tristan.
Tristan.
This is the Fake Fans Anonymous podcast. The idea is hopefully that people like us who have often had to fake being fans around people can finally start resolving those issues and watching the movies that we've said that we've watched but really haven't.
We're starting today with the movie that we watched, which is E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial from 1982, directed by Steven Spielberg. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Let's start with the people who haven't seen today's movie. I'm guessing it's just me.
I haven't done a full through, like a full send.
Okay, so Nicole and I are the people who haven't seen today's movie.
I just want to say I watch more than Calvin, though.
Yeah, I really did not know. I mean, I could piece it together from like the Angry Video Game Nerd review of the E.T. game from Atari. Like I kind of pieced together, but I just never seen it.
Can you piece it together, though? Because I've played the E.T. video game, and it has nothing to do with the movie.
I just mean the review of the game, like his video.
Oh, okay.
He kind of talked about it, made movie references. And then, of course, you see some of the shots and scenes just, from Tumblr and...
And I just
so
want to say that mentality is what produces a fake fan.
Okay, so now that we've done our shaming, let's talk about what we thought about the movie, particularly the people who haven't seen it first, and then we'll... So, Nicole, how did you feel about the movie?
I liked it. It was a good 80s movie, and it was sad, but it's good. I liked it. I really don't know what else to say yet.
I mean, I liked it too. I mean, it's like on the level of the Goonies, where it's like this
Oh, yeah.
80s kind of movie. It's just, I don't know. It's idyllic. It's like the image of the 80s that you have. It's the 80s as a movie. I really liked it. And it was really powerful. And what you said, it was the most grossing film.
Yeah.
Highest.
So after Star Wars came out in 77, that was the highest grossing film. E.T. became the highest grossing film when this came out. I just looked it up, and I guess this had a theatrical run of over a year. So that's a lot of time to make that money. And then it stayed the highest grossing movie of all time until Spielberg beat himself with Jurassic Park 11 years later.
It's gonna sound a little snobby, but I'm thinking right now like this was the most successful film of all time at its moment, and I was really amazed by it's really the word cinematic here. It's really incredible the kind of editing and lighting and storytelling that was done here. I'm just gonna reflect that I don't feel that way about big movies today. I'm not gonna say Sonic or anything has achieved this kind of incredible, real like artistic value. Spielberg does it. Spielberg does a great job.
I think, too, I feel like the 80s especially, they let kids watch scary stuff. Like, E.T. in the river is terrifying. It's scary. And when you think about other stuff like Goonies, that's, like, really scary.
Mm-hmm. Raiders of the Lost Ark, do you guys remember when they open the Ark and all the heads explode? And
Yes.
Yeah, and that movie's PG, so that's funny. I think Jaws is PG, and you see, like, body parts and blood in the water and stuff. So, man, kids are too soft today.
I don't know if it's a kids being too soft. Like, I don't know. I mean, I really don't have a good handle on similarly popular movies of today. We're in a pandemic. I haven't seen a movie in the theaters for a long time now. The last one, probably almost a year ago. But I'm just thinking, like, what's the comparison? What is a movie today that would be like similarly popular that we could compare and say, here's E.T. They did a great job with this emotional arc. Here's a movie from today. It doesn't do so-and-so a job. Can we really say that? I don't even have a comparison film. Sonic, is that really something? Would you compare Sonic?
E.T. is its own thing, whereas a lot of the big popular movies today are based off something or are a sequel of something. Thank God we never got an E.T. sequel. I would hate that.
I was just going to ask that. I was like, do we know what happens? Like, do they get persecuted?
I think there was, like, talks to have an E.T. sequel. I'm, like, going back in my memory of what I've read, I think there was like some weird plot about like evil aliens coming back. I don't know.
Oh, and like E.T.'s gonna have to save them all.
Yeah. Either way, I think it's a bad idea. And I'm glad it didn't happen.
You know, there's that shot where the older brother falls asleep where E.T. is asleep. I was like, that's an emotionally powerful moment that I'm just racking my head for a movie that would be similarly that trusting of children and their emotions. And I'm thinking like Spider-Man Far From Home. Like I never got a moment that felt that honest. You know, yeah, Tom Holland Spider-Man like feels sad about Tony Stark, but it's like I want to be honest. I just don't think we see that kind of trust of children, like you said, Nicole.
Here's a plug to something completely different. That's why I liked Avatar: The Last Airbender so much, because it does have those moments of taking kids seriously and actually dealing with heavy themes.
Man, I think it shows that, yeah, if you can really trust people with emotions, you can still make a very successful film, story, franchise, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm sure they made toys and video games and shirts for this movie afterwards, but you can still make it meaningful. I still have to see more Spielberg. Like, more honesty here. I haven't seen Jaws the entire way through. I've never seen Close Encounters. So I'm trying to place this in my memory of like how to compare this to other Spielberg films. I got Goonies. I got he didn't do Gremlins, but he was a producer on Gremlins.
Yeah, he produced Goonies too. He didn't direct that one.
Oh shit, okay. Shit, I don't even know what movies. I am a big fan. There's that Scorsese quote where he says like, if you raise a kid with a certain diet, they'll like that diet. If you raise a kid with a certain diet of films, then and trust them with handling these kind of emotions, they might actually have mature films. You know, they could accept that.
I like how even though Elliot was Elliot, like the main character, like they still involved like all the siblings and showed all their emotions. Like they didn't just make it simple. Like they could have, like the brother sleeping in where E.T. slept and stuff like that.
I think it's just the child performances are some of the best child performances I think I've ever seen. I mean, it's the 80s, so there is that like cheese factor to it, but I don't think there's anyone comparable to the kid who played Elliot, because his audition was like so good that Steven Spielberg cried and gave him the job on the spot. I've seen the video. If you look it up, you can look up Henry Thomas's audition, and it's crazy.
Like I cried during the scene where they're in the house and they're working on E.T. and he's dying and stuff like that, and like it almost scares you when Elliot is screaming. You just think this kid is crazy good. Like it's scary to watch him do that.
But I was just thinking like Stranger Things. That is an 80s theme film, but they handled childhood and young adult emotions very well. I mean, you remember that shot where they're all hugging each other and protecting each other kind of thing, you know?
When I watched the first season of Stranger Things, all I saw was E.T. references through the whole thing. There are like even scenes that are just, I don't want to say knockoffs, because I think they do it in a good way that doesn't, good inspiration.
But they know what they're doing.
Yeah. But there is a scene, like there's the scene in this movie where Elliot's showing E.T. all of his toys, and there's an exact replica scene where Mike is showing Eleven all of his toys.
And like the outcast finds some cool person/creature vibe.
Yeah. You take serious subjects and handle them right, you can make something successful. You don't have to make it based off of a massive video game like Sonic and expect to just reaping the profits for that. You know, you can really do something more meaningful than that.
Random. I'm so glad that Sonic wasn't the last movie I saw before the theater shut down, because it was so close. It was so close. I think Onward was the last movie that I saw. Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't the best Pixar movie. I also saw The Invisible Man, which was very good. I really liked that one.
Nicole, what's your favorite scene?
I love any scene with Drew Barrymore because like that's why I think I like the movie anyway, because she's so cute. But I like when she's teaching E.T. how to talk, and when Elliot comes there, it's like freaking out that he can talk, but she's like, I taught him how to say that. Like that's such a kid thing to say. Like you're teaching Alien to talk, but you're like, no, I taught him how to say this. Okay, give me the credit.
The screenwriters wrote her really well too in that sense, because like you think about like a child, how do you? Because obviously like Barrymore brought her acting to that, but like the screenwriters capture the essence of this as well, because like that was so spot on. Any kid you know is like gonna be that, just like that. It was really something.
Well, and also maybe it was the screenwriters, because the scene where the mom is reading Gertie that book and they're like, I do believe in fairies, and they're clapping. I think they really wanted to capture that, like, these kids could accept this alien like adults couldn't.
I always talk about how it's so impressive that Steven Spielberg can make something so, like, I don't want to say ugly. I don't want to call E.T. ugly, but he is, you know.
He's different.
He's different. He's special, and I love him. It's something that looks so unappealing, so lovable, and you connect with so much. Calvin, you said something halfway through the movie like, oh, I can't believe they made me connect with this thing. Now I'm feeling things. And I was like, yeah, because Spielberg's a genius. Spielberg's my favorite director.
Well, there's this Oscar Wilde quote: "Beauty is beauty, but only ugly can be perfection." And that's kind of true in this, where it's like you could only really love him because he's like this vulnerable looking, like kind of hunched over looking thing. Like the mix of things, whatever they were able to do to create this creature was perfect, because he was kind of ugly in that sense, you know?
And maybe it's not so much you think, oh, he's cute. It's probably the same way Elliot feels, and you think, oh, like, this guy is so vulnerable looking and you want to protect him. So I think it's more of a feeling of, I want to protect this. And then when you see him in the hospital setup thing like Elliot does, like, you want to freak out with Elliot. You're like, no, you got to protect him.
It's tough. I don't know, because this is one of my favorite movies. So I don't know if I can really pick a scene that's my favorite. I love the drunk scene when E.T. and Elliot both get drunk and Elliot saves all the frogs and E.T.'s waddling around the kitchen. I think that's great. I love just everything with Elliot. I love Elliot so much. I think the whole final scene when E.T. takes off and the music builds and it's that final shot of Elliot just watching it go just always gets me. I always love that.
I'm thinking more about this. This was really good. I mean, we're talking about children dealing with divorce as well. There's like this feeling of separation. This is really mature stuff, and they did a great job.
There's a really good documentary about Steven Spielberg movies, and I think it's on HBO. I watched it a couple years ago, but Spielberg really says that he sees it more as a story of a broken family coming back together. E.T. helps them come back together because you have the dad who's divorced, and then the kids who are like, you know, the siblings are all bickering with each other. They're not communicating as well with their mom. And then E.T. comes in and it just fixes everything. And there's that shot at the end of the film when E.T. and Elliot are hugging and E.T. looks over to his mom.
I want to think about your thoughts as someone who has been through divorces. Like, how does this...
We're going to bring up my trauma?
Episode 1, trauma.
Everyone... Look, I'm saying the film dealt with mature topics. You know, we need stories to help us process trauma, right? So I'm asking you, how can we understand this film through a lens like yours?
Well, something I just thought of. I feel like I'm at a therapist right now. Something I just thought of is...
This podcast is therapy, yeah.
Yeah.
You're being billed.
So I grew up with this movie, but when I watched this as a kid, I liked it enough. It wasn't my favorite when I was a kid. I was too into Star Wars and SpongeBob and things like that. It's got to be cool and action and funny. I didn't watch this again full attention until I was a sophomore in high school. So this would have been like a year after my parents got divorced. And that's when it like hit me completely different. And maybe now thinking about it, maybe it was like a subconscious thing where it was, oh, I'm still dealing with these family issues right now. I think it's a great, great story about childhood, growing up, and the family component, all of it coming together, which is another reason why I love it so much, because it's another one of those kids' movies that takes its audience seriously. And that's what I always respect storytellers who aren't afraid to go into darker subjects that normally adults would be like, oh no, kids can't understand that right now. Kids can't talk about that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you just said like this is a kids movie, and I'm thinking like this is a kids movie, but we just wouldn't consider it a kids movie today because it's so mature. But like that's kind of the beauty of those classics, where they are able to handle real serious topics through these perspectives, but because they handle it so maturely, so well, we just consider it a classic. I feel like that's the goal, right? That's the goal that we should hope films excel to, so that we don't really think of them and try to store them away into these kind of categories, you know?
Yeah, I recommend this to everybody. People like to be like, oh, it's a kid's movie. Oh, it's goofy. Oh, I don't like how E.T. looks. But it's such a good, like, heartwarming kids' family movie. And I love it. That's all I can really say.
This isn't something to fake being a fan about anymore, for sure. This is something to be a real fan of.
Thank you for coming to this meeting.